Hi everybody, it's Tessa with with my wispy hair. We'll see how long this hair stays up. I'll be playing with it, and I am here to talk more about meal prepping. I've been sharing all week a little bit about meal prep. So we talked about what it is, who it's for, the things you need to think about first, and then you had a behind the scenes look at how we did an emergency, really no plan meal prep. And so tonight I am going to talk about, once you've decided you're ready and you've done that pre-work, what are the next steps? And so we had already talked about knowing what was coming up in your schedule for the week. So we're at the point where you've decided it's a good week for it. You've picked a day that you're actually going to do your prep, and you have determined how many meals you need to make. You've decided if you're going to prep everything, or if you're just going to be prepping one meal, two meals, three meals, if you're going to just do breakfast, just do lunch, just do dinner. And so I have some tips about that before you get started, because I've been talking to beginners, and I would say you kind of have to make a decision depending on your comfort level with the process. If you are a cook, if you enjoy cooking and you're already a person who's comfortable being in the kitchen and doing recipes and all that, you're probably really likely going to be able to handle more than just one meal. But you can customize your meal prep based on your needs. So if you're a person who really doesn't cook a lot and you still don't want to cook a lot, you're just having a goal to actually eat more meals at home and to be healthier and to save time each night, there's meal prepping for you. So the first step after you've made the decision is to actually plan. And for me, this is the hardest part of it. To me, this is way harder than actually being in the kitchen and prepping everything out, is to make the decisions about what you're going to do. So you've got your calendar, you've looked at what meals you're going to make. You've made the decision. And then you need to fill in the blanks. So you need to make decisions about what you're going to make. And resources are all over the place. So that's actually the next thing that I would do in my prep, which is this plan stage, is if you like to look at new recipes and get ideas, you go for that, just like you would any other time when you're planning meals that you're going to make fresh every night. And if you want to keep it more simple, where you're not doing a lot of cooking, you're still going to do all that. You're just going to be looking for different things. You're going to be looking for simpler things. And what you definitely need to do is take advantage of all the people that have done this before us. They've done it before you. There are all kinds of videos. If you like to watch videos, the Johanna's watching. Hi, Johanna. So Johanna's watching videos. If you like reading instead, if you go on Instagram and Facebook and Google and YouTube, there's all kinds of ideas out there. And when you go about getting the ideas, the more specific search terms you're putting in as to what your needs are, the better luck you're going to have finding ideas. So you're going to have a range of, there are plans out there and people out there who are sharing every week exactly what they're doing for meal prep. So they're going to have pictures, they're maybe going to have a video, they're going to have recipes, they're going to give you a shopping list. And if you are new to cooking, or new to this, if it makes you more comfortable to follow something step by step, I would recommend that. However, you're going to it's not likely that you're going to find something that works perfectly for your needs and your family. So if you're not so picky and you're open to just learning that way, I would recommend something like that. That's actually how I started. And I like things basic. I don't love to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I am one who'll sacrifice a little bit of flavor and variety for something easier. But that's the beauty of meal prep. There's just no one way to do it. And I think that a lot of people think it's just a certain way. But we've already talked about there's so many ways of doing it. So go out there and find your resources. And even if you're comfortable with the process to where you're just going to find recipes to fill in, just you have to be considerate of how a recipe can be prepped in advance if you're finding it not in a specific meal prep, website, and how it might taste later. So that's the nice thing about when you're actually searching meal prep. You could search meal prep for vegans, meal prep for paleo, meal prep for people who don't like to cook, meal prep for foodies. There's really something out there for everybody, and they've been doing it a while, so they have a lot of tips on how to do it. So that would be the first step. Once you know what you're doing and your needs are, you already know what you like, just start doing the research. Give yourself a little bit of time for that. And that actually, that part does not have to be on the day that you're actually prepping. You can do that whenever. This could be a week-long process. This could be, whatever you feel like, however long it takes. But don't think that you're going to run out and do the shopping or even just, have a minimal time doing it. Do the research, get comfortable with what you're going to do, and actually, like, I need to have a sheet of paper, and I actually draw a big box, or I write down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I get my calendar, I look at my dry erase, I go on my Facebook events to see if I forgot something. I do the research first to find out what the needs are, and I write it down and make sure I know what's going on that week. And then I start filling in the blanks. And, if most of us have a routine for breakfast and lunch, and so those, I think, sometimes are a little bit simpler. So those are good ones to start with if simplifying them each day would help. I think dinner probably for most of us is more challenging, but not across the board. Like I said, it's really cool because you can customize it to your needs. So then after you figure out what you're going to do, whether you're kind of going rogue and just pulling recipes together that you're comfortable with it, or you're following a plan, or there are many simple meal preps out there, which I love. The ones that the way I go about it is thinking of protein, carbs, fruit, vegetable, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I try to keep it simple. I keep it fewer ingredients because it's just easier for me. And I like to change up what I do each week, but I like to keep it really simple. But you don't have to. You can do it however you want if you like that variety. But you're going to find plenty of them out there. And then the next would be to go through the recipes, go through the plan, make your grocery list of what you need, take inventory of what you have in your house, compare it like you would with anything else, and then I do recommend, it's not necessary, but I do recommend putting that shopping and prepping together. So if at all possible, to know that you can go right from the shopping to the prepping, and sometimes you can't, but I like to do that because then I don't really have to put everything away. It just seems like it does go faster, just goes a little smoother when you can do that if possible. So that's just a little tip I've learned to kind of connect those two processes. And I can't really tell you how long any of it's going to take because that's going to depend on how complex your plan is, and I don't know how far you live from the store, like Johanna. It's going to take you a little bit longer, right? So anyway, but just think about that when you're planning, that you're actually conscious of how long. You don't want to get in a situation where you're shopping late Sunday night and then you still need a few hours and you don't get it done. I mean, it's not the end of the world, you just do it the next day. But if you can plan that far ahead, it's nice to do that. And then you begin the prep. And again, there's no specific way of doing it. I am going to share, tomorrow's going to be a lot of tips that I've learned from my personal prepping. And actually, I might do that tomorrow or Sunday, but I'm also going to take you through my own personal prep that I'm doing for next week. And so I won't be sitting at the table like I've been for the rest of them. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do it on Saturday or Sunday. I actually have a pretty open weekend, which is nice. So it's going to be one or the other. So either way, you're going to see that. I'm going to try to do that Saturday so you could take advantage of it if you want it. But seriously, believe me, there are a lot of amazing videos out there that are way better than mine's going to be, you know. I'm not really putting myself down, but I'm new at making the videos about it. There are some cool videos out there, so really check them out. Okay, so then you're actually doing the prep, and we've talked about having the containers available already, and also cooking utensils and pots and pans. You probably already have what you need, but just be aware of that. And I like to have a lot going on at once because it decreases the amount of time. And in the resources I'm talking about, I'm actually going to share them in my blog post, some of the ones that I like. But you're going to see how they manage things. So I usually have the oven going. I have 3 or 4 pots on, but like I said, I've been doing this a while. So I might have oatmeal going, and I might have likely I'll have my vegetables steaming. I'll have rice or something cooking. And then I love it better when Shane grills the meat, but sometimes I cook it other ways. So I might have ground turkey, browning. I might have chicken in the oven. I might have it in a cast iron pan. I don't use the crock pot and the Instapot that much, even though I like them and I should. I just really get in a routine. I love roasted vegetables, so I'll have vegetables roasting usually. You just kind of know what you already like and go with what you already like. You don't have to completely change how you eat or how you cook. To some extent you will, depending on what you're doing, to make it just, better for reheating. So that's always something to think about. You got to think about how you might like something reheated. And I have tips for helping with that because I've learned those over the years of doing this. But essentially, that's pretty much it. Obviously, you have cleanup afterward, which is not fun. So I recommend cleaning up. I always just kind of run the water and clean up as I go. I end up having to actually reuse some of the bigger pots. We don't have a lot of big pots. And it's just part of, if you treat it like part of the process, it won't be so horrible afterward. And then remember, you're going to have less cleanup throughout the week as you go. And the only thing sometimes if you're using those individual, if you're using a lot of Tupperware type things, containers, glass or plastic, then you have a lot of that. But I mean, still, it is still way easier than cooking every night. So keep in mind, you got to personalize it to your needs. Keep it simple to start with. Don't try to do too much. I mean, this whole thing is to actually try to simplify things. And so if you're making the whole thing too complex, it's not going to feel simple. But there's a learning curve. So just know that when you start doing it, it may not be as fun at first. It may be harder work. You're figuring things out. But just know, as with anything else, it's going to get easier with practice. And that's pretty much all I have. Like I said, I'm gonna come back this weekend with some really good tips, and then also just showing you. I'm gonna show you my plan and everything. And I don't go too fancy. Sometimes I do get a little bit more interesting in my meals, and I feel a little bit of that coming on this week. And you know why? It's because I've been doing a little bit more research about it to try to be a little bit more prepared to talk about it. And so I've come across some more exciting things that have got me a little bit excited again. I do tend to be a creature of habit and do similar type of things, which, there's nothing wrong with that. Variety's nice, but you gotta do what you like. So again, thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, comment below or reach out to me. I'll be happy to talk more about it. And I hope that you found something helpful, and I hope you listen this weekend. I know it's really late, so I don't think there's a lot of people watching right now. So if you are, thank you, and have a good night. There's the finish button.